Good evening, good evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. I am your host, Richardo Jackson, and today we are streaming live from Chi Town, Chicago. We are here overlooking your beautiful lakes and rivers. We are actually at the Millennial Mile Marriott. Is that what it's called? Hilton Millennial Mile. I have to get it all right. Um, but we are down here, smack dab in the middle of Chi-Town, working collaboratively with some folks from across the United States to ensure that communities who are impacted by homelessness can have resources and we can come up with creative and innovative strategies to address these issues in our communities throughout the United States. So, thank you for joining us. We are going to ask you right now to please like, share, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, um, or visit our website at www.campbellhealthsolutions.health. Um, we have a wonderful guest for you tonight. His name is Ederick Johnson, and this gentleman is full of energy. He is a whole vibe, and you will get to meet him in a few minutes. And we're going to be talking about um, community. We're going to be talking about health. We're going to be talking about um, what that looks like from our perspective. So this way we can learn, share, and grow together. So if you're watching this um, show today, please invite some friends, share it on your page, and let's get at it. All right. So we'll be right back. Welcome, Mr. Johnson.
Greetings and salutations. I am sharing all of this on Facebook and on Jack Grinder, A for A, all my social handlings.
Okay.
But how are you doing, Mr. Jackson?
We do really, really well. We're doing good. I'm doing the same thing you're doing. So pull out your phones, y'all. Now's the best time to do it while it's right in front of you. Pull out your
Pull
phone.
it, pull it
Go
out.
out. I mean, yeah, go like, share. We are live on YouTube. We are live on uh, Facebook, and we're live on LinkedIn. So,
You didn't tag me in it on Facebook.
oh Lord, the show just started. We're having
It's
a
fine.
moment, clearly, as you can see. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to tag you now.
Make sure it's Eddie and Rico, that one.
If I can find you, we'll figure this out during the show.
That's fine.
Because I don't know. I'm getting a whole bunch of other people who
It is
should
fine.
come
So,
with the
what
show.
is going on? What is going on? What's the tea?
Just, see, I told you about his
What is the tea?
energy.
I should have. This the day that we buried the queen. I should have worn my hat for this auspicious occasion.
You know what? When we take when we go to our announcements, you can run and grab your hat.
I gotta go and find it in the hat boxes, and I just
As you right as usual, what I want to tell everyone is that if you are watching this and you end up and you have questions while we're watching this and you want to get them answered live on air, just really just throw them in the chat box and we will do our best to get them answered right live on here. And thank you for watching. It's important that we have viewers like you, so thank you for watching. So Eddie, tell us about yourself because I know you, but a lot of people don't. So tell us about yourself.
My name is Ederick Enrico Shandell Johnson. I go by Eddie. I came to Jesus as I was, weary, anointed, petty, and gay. I found in him a resting place, and he has made me glad. I am that black gay minister that is somewhere between a Proverbs 31 woman and city girls. I'm more related to Paul than Jesus. Try Jesus and not me. Does that kind of sound? But no, in all actuality, you all, my name is Ederick Johnson, but I go by Eddie. I moved to South Florida 11 years ago to attend the prestigious Florida Memorial University. I've been, and from there, I had the privilege of, attending Simon's College of Kentucky, another HBCU, Johnson C. Smith Theological Seminary, as well as I'm happy to say that I am in the process of re-enrolling in Miami-Dade College mortuary science program, and I have a little over 6 classes to go, and I'm done.
Congratulations, by the way.
Huh?
Congratulations.
Yes, I will be that licensed funeral home director. I can sing for you, bear you, what you see, what you get. But I'm very involved in the community. I have been a member of the NAACP for almost 15 years, paid active. I am the worshipful master of New Era Masonic Lodge, Prince Hall, number 69, Prince Hall Origin. I'm a member of the Herons of Jericho. I'm a man of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. I serve as the chapter secretary for Rho Sigma, the oldest Phi Beta Sigma chapter in the state of Florida. Yeah, I'm very involved in the community and still looking for God's match for me. So find me on Christian Mingle.
Is there anything that you don't do?
Women. Was this supposed to be professional? You have to tell me if this was supposed to be professional. Was this supposed to be professional?
I was just not ready. Listen.
You asked the question.
I did. You know what? I should have expected that. Knowing you, I should have absolutely expected that.
You should listen. I tell everybody, there's a time. I'm very versatile. Not really, but in a sense of culture, I feel that especially in today's society, we need to be able to laugh, be professional, cry, get into our feelings, and all of that other stuff. Somebody said, we all know how you are, Mr. Johnson. I mean, listen, to know me, know that I'm consistent and what you see is what you get. I'm not one of those Christians that on Sunday, blah, 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 I cuss you out on Sunday. Sunday, I'm not even going to put that on God. God is working on me. There's some aspects that I don't want him to touch because it makes me authentically me.
Okay. So since we're talking about being our authentic self, so let's start there. What do you think it takes to be your authentic self?
First of all, I struggled with this. So when I came to Florida Memorial, I was not an openly gay man. I was not openly gay. Actually, I've only been in one relationship, and it took me being in that relationship to really open me up because that person stated that if you're going to be with me, you can't be in the closet. I had a girlfriend and all because of what society stated. Mind you, I'm a young minister, serving in the Baptist convention from the Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Association to Progressive Emony Baptist State Convention, all the way to National Baptist Convention of America. And I was a sought after speaker, and I was living in the dark. But it wasn't until I wrestled and I had an encounter with a Black man by the name of Jesus. And there was a particular scripture, and we use it. It says, "Worship me in spirit and in truth." I had half of that. I worshiped him in spirit, but I could not worship him in truth because I was living in a lie. And so many people are not living in the authentic selves because they're living in a lie, a facade, because they're trying to be something for someone that they're really not, trying to please people who really don't like them. I'm a 30-year-old man, and I realized if I don't give a who cuts me off. As long as it ain't FP&L, T-Mobile, the water company, my Wi-Fi, I don't care who cuts me off. Because let me tell you this, if the gay in me distracts you from seeing the good in me, if the gay in me distracts you from seeing the God in me, then you was never good for me.
Well said. So, what would you say? Because we know that this has been something that has plagued a lot of different communities, particularly the Black community. So one of the biggest thing is that there isn't any. We don't allow Black queer folks to be their authentic selves within our Black communities, and then we turn around and or our community turn around and bash them for being it, for hiding who they are or just trying to survive, right? So then we say, oh, they're DL and they're this, and we make up all the community makes up all these different names to further stigmatize and demonize people instead of just loving them and allowing them to live their authentic truth. So, did you find that to be particularly challenging as you were growing up, immersed in like church and just immersed in your community?
Yes, because I come from a small town called Bradenton, Florida. And the church that I was raised in, St. Mary Missionary Baptist Church, a church that I love dearly, um, the people, and we always talk about racism, but same thing with homophobia. Racism is not, you're not born racist, you're taught. And the people where I'm from, they were taught to be homophobic because they said, well, this is what the Bible says. In Leviticus chapter, it says, man should not lie with man, but they don't finish the whole chapter.
Of course, it's funny how the Bible always have a lot of things to say,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
then we still have high rates of domestic abuse in churches,
Obesity.
high rates of domestic violence, and the list goes on and on. And the Bible apparently don't really say much about those things.
No. But I never forget it. I was in a convention, and Reverend Edward Bland, I believe he pastors in Ocala, Florida now. He stated, if you take out the Bible, what you want to take out of, it's not the Bible you believe in, but it's in yourself. When you're reading the Bible, one of my teachers at Florida Memorial in religion, I had two teachers in religion. The first one was the late Reverend Dr. Matt King Carter, who his wife brought me to Florida Memorial. And then another one, Reverend Stephen Caldwell. And they stated you when you're reading the Bible, you have to have the Bible in one hand and the newspaper in another hand, meaning you have to stay current. And you cannot read the Bible literally. You can't read it literal. You just can't read it like a regular book. But you're going to need more things besides the Bible. And we also need to remember that God did not write the Bible.
Right. And when you're reading the Bible and you're trying to study the Bible, you also have to like pray and ask the higher power to really help you to decipher some things.
To discern, Lord, give me the spirit of discernment. Lord, show me what you need me to see.
Right.
In this black and white. But like I tell people, it's more, I call those type of people religious people. Religious people gonna go straight to hell. I don't have religion. I don't believe in all of that. I believe I have a relationship because I'm saved by red blood and not black ink. So many people are so consumed in the black ink that they forget that they're saved by his red blood.
Well, I mean, growing up in black churches and black communities, it was like you live and die by the Bible, right? And it's just kind of like you have to do, you want to go to heaven, this is what you got to do. But then again, if you do anything except breathe air, drink water, you're going to hell.
But this is the thing. He said in his word, he says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, whomsoever shall believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life." It didn't say whomsoever that was straight, whomsoever that was black, whomsoever that was a Republican, whomsoever that was perfect. It says, "Whomsoever shall believe in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life." I confessed the Lord, as my Savior. And we need to understand the difference between sins and abominations. And also we need to understand what is an abomination. And why does the Bible says man should not lie with man as woman? Because you have to remember in those times what was happening. You had older Jewish men laying with these young boys as their concubines and basically preying on them. That's why it says you should not lie with them, because they were preying on them. But the greatest commandment that God left was for us to love one another. How can you sit in church every day and never seen God before? You don't know that he exists, but yet you see a brother and a sister every day that you know exists. You see in them and you're breathing them, but you will not talk to them or like them or have a conversation with them because you're so stuck up on what they're doing in their bedroom. But let me tell you, if walls could talk, and if the diary from heaven fell down, we will all be in some messed up shit.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of like the essential part of this whole, like, you know, spirituality, religion, whatever you want to define it as. And by no means, we're not here, you know, we're not here just saying if you believe in the Bible, if you believe in Christ, that you're going to go to, like your teachings are wrong or whatever the case is. We're not just talking about that. Whatever religious book you hold as your religious book, whatever God, he, she, it, that you serve higher power, whatever it is, that you have to build your own relationship with that higher power. And that relationship is a relationship between you and your higher power, not you, your higher power, and everybody else. Because I think that's where a lot of things get all crossed up, where is we want people who don't subscribe to the same texts and the same religion and the same belief as us to now subscribe to our policies and our procedures that we've developed based on our interpretation of the Bible. And that puts people in very awkward position instead of saying, hey, we can all coexist.
We can. And this is the thing. There's a story, but there's a story about monkeys and an elephant. So the king monkey put out a declaration to the other monkeys and stated that whoever brings back the elephant, I will give you a reward. So the monkeys went out and sought out the elephant, and they killed the elephant. And they went back to the king and stated, I brought you the elephant because I have his trunk. Another one said, no, I have the elephant because I got his feet. Another one said, no, I got his lips. And another one said, I have one of his tussles. In all actuality, that's just how religion is. The monkeys, had a part of right. They each had a piece of the monkey, the elephant. But until you come together and put it all together, we'll be able to understand it. That's just like with religion. We all have a piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you really look at Buddhism, Judaism, Confucius, Islam, they all pretty much similar. Talk of a virgin birth,
Mm-hmm.
about a person who walked around. Or my thing is this: I am not going to discredit you for who you believe in. We all worship. We just worship differently based on our culture.
Right. It's
I
like,
call him my
well,
Prince of Peace, but somebody may call him ally.
right.
You
And,
know,
and basically it's kind of like, each religious institution is basically like a club, right? At this club we sing and dance. At that club over there, y'all don't sing and dance. And at the club down the street, y'all only read books. And at the club up the street, they play the organ. I mean, when you start to look at like some of the things to become members or to become a part of a congregation, they all have their rituals and their these are the 10 steps to becoming a member, and you do what you do. Some people you have to submit applications. Some people you just walk in and say, look, I just want to be a member. I mean, there are just all these different criterias and different circumstances.
and we need to get rid of that. That's why the church is failing. We need less members and more disciples.
I was actually listening to a sermon the other day from Pastor Jamal Bryant out of Georgia
Mhm.
or Atlanta, I think.
Yeah, Atlanta New
Um,
Birth Missionary Baptist Church.
Yes, and he was saying he was reading off some statistics, and I think he said about 1,200 and something pastors were quitting every month since the pandemic started. That's a lot of people.
But do you blame? I look at my own self in ministry. No, I am not your typical type of pastor. I'm going to uh, not in your traditional sense of pastor. Um, I pastor, but not in that way. I'm responsible for people of new era. But basically, being a pastor is having the heart of the people. Preaching is the easy part. Getting up and wearing the suit and hollering and foaming out the mouth on Sunday, that's the easy part. Dealing with people and their issues is the hard part. Learning to lead people that don't want to be led, learning to lead people who don't like you, having to pray for people who despise you, having to comfort people who stab you with a knife in your back, having to watch over people who don't even look out for you, having to pray for them in the midnight hour, when they can't pray for themselves. It is draining. There's a book by Reverend Hicks. It says Preaching While Bleeding. And in this book, and that title of the book basically describes the last 10 years of my life. Actually, I won't even say last 10. I would say the last 5. Preaching while being every Sunday. Hold on. Because I don't want to misquote. I have a journal that I write in.
If you are just joining us, thank you for joining us. We are live with Ederick Johnson, and he and I are having a very vibrant and exciting conversation. Um, uh, he's a minister, musician, community worker. He is just full of energy, and he's here to, as one of our viewers have commented, educate the people.
I did find it.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on just 1 second. So this is what I wrote a couple of years ago. I wrote this August the 25th, 2018. I said, while serving God's church, I lost focus on myself. And I had to heal real quick because I knew Sunday was coming. And on Sunday, I had to somehow manage to lead God's people to his presence, while yet I needed to be touched. Had to find time to heal between trying to help heal and comfort others, is what Reverend Hicks describes as preaching while bleeding. My time was sacrificial because I said yes to God to carry the cross and do what I was called to do. Yes, we have a calling, but ensure that you are full and taking care of yourself, because when you die, they will find someone else to replace you. The recovery always takes longer when the wound is covered.
Mm. There's so much in that about self care, about service to community. There's so much to reflect on.
It is. And, that's going back to what you stated, what Reverend Brian said about not only preachers leaving, but preachers committing suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, I didn't, I didn't, a lot of people when I was growing up said, "Oh, Eddie gonna be a little preacher." And, I fed into that. But really being called into this, I wouldn't wish this on nobody. I'm grateful that he chose me. I'm happy that he chose me to do this. However, I wouldn't wish this on anybody, because let me tell you, the sacrifices that ministers have to take, it's it takes something to get up on Sunday and try to bring you into the presence of God, whether it's through music or whether it's through the preached word. Like on this weekend I had a busy weekend, and this weekend I had two episodes with depression this past weekend because for those who don't know it, I've been I don't like to say struggling with mental illness, but I've been fighting the good fight as it relates to depression and anxiety. And then this weekend I had two crises, but yet some way somehow I get to church on yesterday. Tired. I left my grandma's house early yesterday morning, tried to make it to church. I had an attitude, was sleepy and all. Still, on my way there, I'm talking to God. And I walked into church, and the people who knew me, they didn't take it for granted. So I had an attitude, but it was something when I got to the place that God told me to be to. I felt abandoned. But when I got there, God gave me the strength to somehow, and I made it through the service. And while they praising God, I'm ministering to myself because that's what I needed. So it's being a minister, being called, being a pastor, people think playing the piano is and preaching, that's the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
That's that dressing up in a suit and saying nice things, that's the easy part. But when you have to live this thing, and when God wrestles with you on some stuff, let me tell you. But at the end of the day, I thank God for my journey. I wouldn't take nothing for this journey. I wouldn't. I thank God for the anointing that he gave me, because I realize that it is not me, but it is him. And the reason why I'm grateful, because somebody's looking at me and saying, you know what? Eddie's not perfect. Eddie's, Eddie's very open about who he is. But if God can use him, what does that say about them?
Hey, he can use anybody. There's there is no one way of doing this, and I think sometimes people who have been beaten up by religion and by religious people and beaten over the head with religious books
Mm-hmm.
have sometimes walked away from their faith or struggle with their faith because they've just been beaten up so much because no one ever took the time to just say, let me love on you. Let's sit and talk. Let's get down together instead of just more like just driving it. So one of our viewers just said you can't pour from an empty cup. you
That
have
was your husband that said that.
you have to recharge.
He ain't lying. Let me tell you, you can't. You got to. You know, I tell people all the time that and I'm doing it now. When it deals with anything, I have boundaries. I have boundaries. So if I say I'm cutting off so and so at 5 o'clock, it's done.
5 o'clock is done. As it should be.
And what I do now, I put people who knows me, my phone is on do not disturb at 6 p.m. And and it's like that for a reason. So I can have my time for myself.
And that's important. That's how you have self care. That's how you take care of yourself. You're not going to be any use to anyone if you don't take the necessary steps to do the things that you need to do to make yourself better, to recharge, to prepare, to grow for the next day or the next event or the next thing. And that is actually a good segue into our next thing, because not only are you a minister, but you're specifically what, a minister of music.
Minister music and minister the gospel, all that good stuff. Praise God.
Okay, so how does that connect with your public health life, your community your community life?
Um, I say that one more time.
How does your ministry of music and of the community also connects with your your community health life?
It's segue. It's ministry.
Okay.
It is ministry. Um, it correlates with each other. The Bible speaks of oppression 9 times, and the Bible speaks of social justice 9 times, and the injustices. What are one of the injustices? Adequate to healthcare,
Okay.
homelessness, poverty, things that I've been doing for over 11 years. And a lot of people say, why HIV? Why, serve your community, volunteering of your time um, after your day to day with doing your own personal work with HIV. And my personal story is with HIV. I never forget it. 2011. I was in Little Rock, Arkansas, scheduled to speak at the National Baptist Youth Convention. And I got sick. I got real sick
Okay.
and was rushed to the hospital. My friend, older Maurice Tatum, took me to the hospital. And the doctor came in and said, "Have you ever had an HIV test?" I said, "No, what's that? What is HIV?" He explained to me what HIV was, and he said, are you are you gay? Are you a homosexual or MSM? And I said, I'm not a practicing homosexual. I mastered that years ago, but I do dabble with men every now and then. And so he went on. They took the HIV test and went waiting on the results. Um, Results took some time, so I looked up what HIV was, and I said, "Oh my God!" I was in that hospital bed, and I said, "Lord, if you deliver me from this, I promise you that I'll spread the word about HIV. If I don't know about it, living in a small town called Bradenton, I know my friends don't, or they don't know the importance of it or the facts about it, because we think that HIV is really GIV, gay infectious virus. We think that it's a gay man's disease, but the first letter of HIV is H, and it stands for human. That therefore it means if any blood is running in your body, you're prone to it. So the results came back negative, and I kept my word to God. I kept my covenant to God, because I said, if you deliver me from this, I'll do this, and I've been doing it ever since. Out at late at night, and from in Tampa, I started out with Reverend Rick Rollins, in Tampa, passing out condoms, and then I moved here and got connected with Lorenzo Robinson, who's my mentor. And then I met people like Marvell Terry. Believe it or not, Marvell Terry with the Red Door Foundation put me in the spotlight for me to position me for where I am now. I was a part of the cohort of Young Black Gay Initiative. And then Mr. Rudolph Karn, the founder of NASM, pushed me a little further, and I became a part of, the who's who of Black LGBTQ of America, and graduating from Crib Fellowship with other distinguished Black MSM in the United States. So I thank God that, and I oftentimes when we go through stuff, half of the times that we go through stuff is really not for us. It's for other people.
Mm.
But it's just like the man in the Bible that was born blind. The people in the village asked Jesus, John Tavius Christ, who sinned that this man may be born
Wait,
blind?
wait, 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 wait. What's his name?
Jesus John Tavius Christ. And people say, why you call him John Tavius? Because I want to remind people that he was Black. And this is just a little disclaimer message. For those who have a problem with Ariel being Black, just wait until you meet Jesus. So that's why I call him Jesus John Tavius Christ, because I want to remind people that's the blackest name you can give a man, a boy. John Tavius, you know he Black. Jesus was Black and he was from the ghetto. Jesus was born in abject poverty. Back then, it was what we call Section 8.
Hello.
His mama, and if we want, that's a whole nother topic, talking about how the Holy, when we want to talk about rape, what did the angels do to Mary? They didn't ask for her permission. She didn't give her consent. But that's another story, another sermon for another time. But nevertheless, Jesus John Tavius Christ. Yes, that's what I call him. That's what I call him. I was going somewhere with it, but I forgot where was I going. Where was I going?
I don't know where.
You stopped me. You can't stop. You know I'm ADHD.
Listen, I am with you. Black men are getting arrested at night for hanging out with their boys in the park, and Jesus was no exception, I guess. So,
Listen,
at
Jesus,
the end of
listen. I need to. When people talk about
our viewers are screaming and laughing right now. They are just.
I'm trying to tell you. And you know what? People always want to think that Jesus was calm. Y'all need to realize Jesus went to the temple and knocked over some shit. So he was radical. Y'all better realize Jesus was radical.
Well, sometimes that's what it takes to get things done. You just gotta, was anything? Then we had to do some radical things in America just to get our ancestors, just to get our freedom, our rights, the right to be, the right to live,
the right to love.
Right. So at the end of the day, activism still continues, and I wish there were more people who would kind of like continue to be vigilant. Well, I hope people are being vigilant, because if they think that we have arrived, we haven't arrived. There's still work to be done. There's still things that we need to work through if we are going to continue to have the impact that we need to have, to change the way how society view us, to change the way how we are treated by our government, to change, and the list goes on and on. I mean, when you look at all of the issues that are impacting, the social issues that are impacting communities, right? um, Housing issues, food insecurities, homelessness, what do you call it? HIV, like heart disease, high blood pressure, all of these things. I mean, come on. If a lot of the infrastructure that was essential to our community have been taken away. You know, we a lot of families back then plant fruits and vegetables in their backyard, and they bought from local farmers and things of that nature. Now we have to import our stuff from all the way around the world. So what does that tell you for the quality of the products that we're putting in our bodies, to what we're eating? I mean, We saw once, Native Americans were put on the reservations. What happened? They started getting sicker. They started having all these additional issues, and so I think again, it's I think that I was watching a video today that was talking about redlining and how redlining kind of like what it did to the housing to basically kind of like create this disparities within housing right now. And one of the things that they were talking about was that you know it wasn't black people who created the ghetto, it was white people, and that was clearly what the video said. And it was like, yeah, black folks paid into social security, but they weren't allowed to receive social security. they
Talk about it, sir.
they put their money in the bank, but they weren't allowed to get loans to buy homes, even
Talk
though
about it, sir.
the bank used their money to provide their counterparts with loans that they were paying for homes that were cheaper than renting. So, and then they went on to kind of like enroll thousands of people into this fake thing where people were like saying they're selling homes. People thought they were buying homes, and they had them on a contract, and they had to be paying sometimes two and three times even more. I mean, so the if the information is out there, it's this is not something that I'm just pulling out my my behind. It's out there, and it's real, it's proven, I will look for the link, and I will definitely give you some examples. But I mean, we just have to access that information, and so this way we can kind of like change things. And when I say change things, I don't mean like we have to necessarily do everything, but we have to work collectively if we want change, and we have to continue to work and move forward in a progressive manner. I know election time is coming up, so this is perfect. But I need all my peoples, black, brown, uh,
Vote.
we're at national, wherever you're from, black and indigenous people of color. I need y'all to go register to and vote, not register just to and sit with the registration like, okay, yeah. I need everyone to go pick up a registration form if you haven't registered. I know in some places they made it extremely difficult for you to vote. If you can vote early, vote early. If you can vote, don't wait until the last minute. Okay, if you are able to still vote by mail, vote by
Today
mail.
is actually National Voter Registration Day.
And that's great. So everybody, please make sure that you've been registered to vote. Make sure if you're eligible to vote now, and make sure that you check out your voting status to make sure everything is okay, because some of the rules have changed, especially here in Florida. Some of the rules have changed. So if you usually receive your ballot by mail, you might still need to go in and update your preferences, or you might still have to go in and request it because it's not automatically renewed or something like that. So these are little things to kind of like usurp your votes. So you have to make sure that you stay on top of it. It's crucial.
People died.
Yeah, it's crucial. You understand? I mean, uh, how many people got lynched, hung, beat up, set on fire just for this one, right? So we need to make sure that we're utilizing that, and that we're really take, and don't just go in there. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but make sure you understand that the issues and the things that are plaguing our communities, and make sure you are voting for people who will address those issues. And when you put them in office, it doesn't mean that your work stopped there. You need to show up at the town hall meetings. You need to show up at the community meetings, and you need to hold their asses to the grass. You need
Hold
to
them
hold
accountable.
them accountable for the things that they said when they were looking for your vote, and you need to hold them accountable that that they're doing what they said they're going to do. Oh, we're going to make sure there's affordable housing. Well, we need to make sure that it's affordable housing for people.
And not only that, why in the hell is the requirement for renting? You need the rent. You need to make at least 2 to 3 times the rent.
Particularly here in Florida, because there is no what do you call it? There really isn't anything that can hold like any rules that kind of like hold people in place with like how much or how little or whatever. There are people who were paying like $1,500 a month, and now their rent is going up like to be from $1,500 to $2,100. How?
We need rent control.
Exactly. But also, I think that if you're going to be allowing developers to come in and build these apartment buildings, and they're saying that they're going to provide affordable housing, then you need to look at what is affordable and what that means, but also you need to hold them accountable. Don't just let them buy out of it. Don't just let them say, okay, fine, we'll do it for 2 years and we're done. Like, hold
Mhm.
them accountable. Because when you put the people who are oftentimes end up facing homelessness or struggling to maintain housing are the same people who are working, cleaning your homes, running your businesses, making sure all of this stuff. So when you force those people out, where do they go? They have to move further and further out to where there's no resources after we've built resources and infrastructure here. So if we work to create more equity and to create more access for people in our counties and in our cities, then we're going to be able to reduce some of these disparities that are plaguing communities.
Because let me tell you, I, as a human being, a single human being that lives by myself, should not have to work 4 jobs to survive.
Shouldn't.
And shouldn't. But let me put emphasis on that. I am single. Don't find me on Christian Mingle, Jack, Grinder, A4A, PGC, Farmer, Plenty of Fish. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just.
And I know that I was talking earlier about like, redlining and some of that stuff. So if you're interested in looking up some of these things, you can look up The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein.
Mhm.
You can also look up The House We Live In, Race, The Power of Illusion, episode 3. You can look up Race and Redlining, NPR, or you can do A Case for Reparation by Ta-Nehisi Coates, The Atlantic. And again, I mean, when you think about it, it's like all of this stuff that going on. You know how many things that we can address? Someone put A for A. You know how many things that
Listen. Don't be knocking A for. I told you I only been in one relationship, and that's where I found my ex at. Actually, he found me.
Mm.
He found me on A for A first, and then when I didn't pay him no attention, he then went to BGC and somehow found. And child, this is before it was on your phone. You had to be on the computer, honey. You had to be. You had to be
So,
logged.
so essentially, what you're saying, that's like a long time ago. My New
That
York,
was over
New York
10
was
years
about to come
ago.
out. I was going mad long. No, it was a long time ago. Okay.
Yeah, that was a long. But but since then, I've been single for 3 years, and 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 I've been able to, find my. Not saying that I was lost when I was in my last relationship, because I can honestly say I can't say nothing bad about my last relationship. Taught me a lot of stuff. And we're still great friends to this day. But this is the thing that people need to do when you're trying to think you're ready for a relationship. Make sure that you're healed.
Yes, please. Don't drag your stuff and take it to somebody else's dough.
And know what you want. Don't be wasting people's time.
And if you don't know how you want to be loved, ain't nobody gonna be able to to figure that out magically. You
And
have to be
also,
able to tell people how you want to be loved.
figure out not only your love language, but figure out your sex language. What turns you on? What makes you want to bust that good nut? What is your fetishes? Are you into, fisting? Are you into underwear? Are you into bondage? Are you into role play? Figure out how you want to be loved emotionally, physically, but also sexually. You
Right.
know,
And have open and honest conversation about that.
yes,
I'm not a mind reader. I'm sure your date won't be a mind reader. So you have to have open and honest conversations about it. Because if not,
yes, yes.
how-
If you want your dick sucked, just say you want your dick sucked.
you-
Like,
don't keep going in circles. You know what I'm saying?
listen,
And then people are like, and then and then you end up being in a relationship with someone that you weren't meant to be in a relationship with, and then lo and behold, now you have all these other issues and dramas going on. So people have to just have open and honest.
conversations. Uh, you know, you know, fisting. Listen, whatever you people into fisting, shitting, pissing. Listen, I don't judge. I know what I like. I know, what I love in the bedroom, or outside the bedroom, or in the car, or you into public play. Like, you know, my thing is this: I am what is called sex positive. I love sex. I love talking about sex. You know, I'm not one of the people that's addicted to, like, I have to have sex every day. Like, no, not me, because child, mm-mm. But also, also remember, one thing that I have, learned by being single these past couple of years, you have to not only be careful about HIVs and STDs, but there's another STD you got to be afraid of: sexual transmitted demons. Because when you're having sex with these people and hunching, you transferring spirits. You want to know why you depressed all the damn time, and you something just ain't right. Have you checked the last time who the person you was, you know, who you got to be careful about these things. I'm just saying. Sex demons are real. Sexual transmitted demons are real. I'm telling you. And let's not be so infatuated with, just because a person look good does not mean that they're good for you. And this point in my life, what I am looking for, and this is my public service announcement for whoever's, I'm not looking for, I am to the age, I am tired of WYD at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm asleep. Shit. Those days are over. I want to build with someone. I want to build a legacy with someone. I want to be able to share all of this with someone. I want to be able to share their life. I want to be able to help them build. No, it's not going to be perfect. No, I don't want that no and way type of relationship, because that shit is fake. I want, someone that will cover me in my mess, that someone that will cover me in prayer, because they and me is not for the weak in heart, honey.
Right. And you also like, and we're not saying, like we're, people, as you go through life, you go through different traumas and different things, and all of that. We're not saying that you're never going to not have baggages, or you're never going to have that, but you need somebody to help you to put them in the box and put them in the closet, so you don't have to worry about them.
No, you don't. You don't need nobody to put them in the car. You need to help. First of all, unpack it,
Put
and
them in
whatever you cannot unpack, with a therapist, then they come in and help you.
and put them in the well, they'll put it in the closet because it's too quick. You might be reaching it too quickly. Put them out in storage someplace, so you gotta like get in the car and drive there to go pick it up, because sometimes like your history is your history, but you can't get you can't just allow your history to dictate your present all the time, because you live in the present. And as part of having a healthy, I think like you don't really get to I think a lot of the people who are in healthy relationships, you don't really get to see them.
And that's how it should be.
And you but because people don't get to see them, it makes it challenging because then other black gay men don't really get to see what a real relationship look like. They don't really get to see the work that goes into building a relationship, and they don't see examples of that. So, like, I'm very clear when me and my husband go out, like, people stare at us like we're like the elephant in the room. We are like, it's like we're wearing signs. And when we go out with our kids, it's like they haven't seen two black men with kids. And and we're aware, like, we have kids who are different ethnicities than ours. And and so we definitely understand sometimes why people will turn heads. But at the end of the day, it's not something that, like, you just throw it on in the morning and just walk out the door and, like, everything is good. Like, it takes work, it takes time, it
Yes.
takes energy. And I think because people just want something for now, they want the grinder effect. They
They
want.
want the temporary. My aunt Sandy, who I love and adore. My aunt Sandy is my late grandfather's sister, and me and her like this. But my aunt shared something with me, and my aunt, she has been married. Her husband, my uncle, have been married over 55 years, and she told me, that and it's true now. People are getting these relationships because the sex is good, but what happens when you get old? If people nowadays are not building a foundation, they're not becoming friends, they're not getting to know one another. I'm not saying that having sex on the first date is bad. I don't think it's bad. I think it's called on the job training. That's just me.
First of
Like,
all, you know what? And actually, I don't think that sex should be a deciding factor if you get into a relationship or not. It should be a part of the process, but it shouldn't be the reason why you
yeah.
get, you know.
and, and I'm telling you, like, and what she said is true, and that's why a lot of people say, well, how you and your ex can be friends still? Because there's a foundation, and it wasn't built on just one thing. People now, relationships, they don't want to build that foundation. I'm not saying that you have to have all these rules, because you can have all these rules and regulations and still don't work. We were together 7.5 years, but I can honestly say that it was a learning experience, and things that to do and not to do, you know, um, in a relationship.
Right.
Not saying that if you do it by the book, it's going to turn out right. No, it's that being in a relationship is like a lottery ticket. It's like an investment.
Well, I mean, and so how do we get black men to not, or, like, LGBT or gay black men to, same gender loving black men to not just see this as like a task that they have to tackle, but like, it can be a wholesome and wonderful experience.
Well, you got some who don't want to be in a relationship. You got some who don't know who they are. You know, it starts with the individual self. It starts with them, for what they want. But a lot of thing is, it's just like Mildred A. Taylor wrote a book in the 80s, Let the Circle Be Unbroken. The reason why they cannot be in a healthy relationship, because they never saw one probably growing up.
Facts.
Like,
Facts.
let's just be honest.
Because a lot of people grow up doing, they actually, when they grow up, they start doing the things
What
that
they
they see happen. And so if if mommy never complained about getting hit by the doorknob in the face every morning, then they think that it's okay for them to be hit, or it's only when something is broken, then, only when a limb is broken, then that's when, mama will reach out for help. So if I'm getting smacked and hit, then it's okay. Then until something gets broken, and then but you can have a violent-free relationship, and nobody is saying that. Your relationship does not have to include violence. Your relationship does not have to, include, um, you know, the like all of these traumatic experiences for you to be okay. Like you can have a drama traumatic free relationship. Now, is it going to be perfect? No, but there have to be some, like you have to be willing to work through some of the stuff. And so like, you can't say we're in a relationship, but then the minute something goes wrong, all of a sudden you're on roommate status, because it's a commitment.
Mhm. And
You have to
then,
work through it.
but I mean, hell, you talking about people, um, in relationships. Hell, these people don't even have the same number for 8 months. Every other month they changing numbers. Every other month they changing jobs. They're not. They're unstable in their regular life. So what
Well,
you?
but you know what? That brings up another issue, is that if you are couch surfing, if you are unstable, you've not yet picked a career path, you're still looking for or checking out what your options are and whatever, then what I'm saying is don't go and try to buy a house when you don't know how to pay a mortgage. Okay? Don't go get a car if you're not going to be willing to put gas in it, because you're not going to get very far.
Hello.
And so don't go into get into a relationship if you because everybody have one and I must have one, and I don't just want to be by myself, and I don't just want to I just want to have this person here. Learn to be friends. And if you have some sort of a sexual arrangement, let your arrangement be what it is. You get your sexual needs satisfied, your emotional needs satisfied, whatever the case is, until you are ready to have a relationship. And if you're and if but you can't something you have to figure that out. And I think that sometimes people just get this illusion, or this idea that, oh yeah, I want to have a relationship. Oh, you want to be with me? Okay, fine. Oh, we had sex last night, so we're dating now.
I'm glad you said that. So I was talking to someone a couple of months ago, and they thought that because my motto is I hunch them all until one become consistent. Meaning I don't believe in just because we're talking and getting to know one another that all bets are off, because I don't put all my eggs in one basket. Now, however, if I see potential and I see other people are becoming a distraction and I want to pursue you, then we have this conversation. Hey, do you want to go exclusive? Until to continue to get to know one another. Like it's all in the communication. But I tell people, just because we had sex or just because we went on a date does not mean we're dating. Does not mean we're in a relationship. And just because we're dating does not mean I can't date other people.
But that's part of the communication. Relationships require, whether it's friendships, dating ships, marriage ships,
Sex ships,
sex
situationships.
situationships, financial ships, whatever it is, it takes communication. You have to communicate. You have to be on the same. You can't be walking on the same street in a different ends of the parking lot or different ends of the street. You have to be going in the same direction for the car to work. The wheels don't just decide that it's going to go left if you're turning the steering to the right. That's not how it works. Because if that happens, then your car is broken. And so people have to understand that it takes communication. It takes, working together. It takes compromise. And sometimes people think compromise is such a dirty word. Compromise is not a dirty word. It just means that I know that I want this today, but because I want what's best for my relationship, I'm not going to have that today.
And that's true.
It's that simple. But we live in a world where everybody want it now, 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 now. It's me and my needs, and if I can't get what I want, then it's not going to work. And so when you get with another person who said, "Well, if I can't get what I want, it's not going to work," then what happened? Now you're stuck
Like Chuck.
because nobody is going to be willing to work through it. So you have to talk through it, you have to work through it, and you have to grow from it.
Now let me just tell you, when we on this probationary phase, I ain't working through shit. I just want to be honest. Now,
Listen,
if we get in a relationship, then
yes,
that's okay. But if we're in this probationary phase where we get uh, uh, all bets are off.
how
No,
long is the probationary phase that you're talking about? How long is that supposed to be?
until we say we want to be with each other.
There have to be a time limit, though.
I mean, I mean, you can't put a time limit on that because I've only been in one relationship, as I've stated, so I only can use that as an example. I
Okay.
met him. We started conversing November of 2011. In February of 2012, no, January of 2012, he gave me his number. February the 12th, we went on our first date. April 20 something, we got into a relationship. June of 2013, we moved in together. But we didn't say this is the time. It flowed. It just flowed. Like there was no time like we're gonna be in a relationship by this time. No, it just I never forget. We was on Uvu. Oh my god.
I forgot that
I hope he do not watch this because he will cuss me out.
I forgot that that existed.
But we were on Uvu, and I held up a sign. Will you be my boyfriend?
Check
and,
yes, check no.
and it just happened. We didn't have. I said all that to say this: there was no timeline.
Right.
There was no timeline. Like we didn't get together and say we're gonna be boyfriends. It just happened. And what I am doing in this space of getting to know people and dating, I'm just letting things happen because I've
No, when I say a time frame, I mean that there are people who are in relationships for like 6, 7 years and they don't know if they're going or coming. They're like oh it's I think that there have to be and this is where like there have to be active communication about kind of like sort of like what's the plan, right? Because there's also the opposite part of that where if somebody who you weren't meant to be with is occupying your time and your space, then the person who you're meant to be with will walk right by you. And so sometimes you have people put on their best, it's like an interview. People put on their best garments and look for the interview, and then once they get in the door,
You got to
all
think how
bets
you
are
get
off.
them is how you keep them. My one thing that I'm learning in this dating phase, and I don't know, I have to learn how to change to protect myself without compromising my message because I'm the type of person. I'm very. My motto is you don't have to question where you are with me. You don't. I ensure that you're top priority. However, what I've learned over these past even years that you know not to give so much in one time, not to give so much in one time because I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm old school. I believe in core team, but I believe in just Damn, here it is. I'm not talking about with gifts and shit, stuff like that. No, I'm just talking about of giving of myself, not just sexually, but
Right. So you
emotionally.
have to make sure that the right you're giving it off
And
you
that's the problem.
person.
Because that's the problem because I'm trying to put my best foot in what, and I tell people I won't even say I'm trying to put my best foot forward because this what you see is that's me. I'm like that with people who I'm not dating. That's just the type of heart that I am. But the thing is,
And that's okay. And that's okay, as long as you're kind of like not putting yourself in a situation where you're overspending from yourself.
yes,
So you have to budget yourself. And
yes,
also, that's why the communication piece needs to be very active and very live, because you need to be able to say, where do you see yourself from that? And I think a lot of people, you know what it is, a lot of people get caught up in the feelings and the emotions in the first couple of months, 6 months, 3 months, maybe a year.
I give it
and
90 days.
and
When you can pass the 90-day mark,
and I think what happened is that people go, oh, I really like him, and they want to wait until they go on dates, or wait until they kind of like see something to for them to decide or whatever, instead of just saying, hey, how's your communication with your mama? How often do you talk to her? you know and then also, like, okay, how often do you see your mama? Because a lot of that will give you an understanding of how this person communicates. A
yeah,
lot of that will also, because people date people look, sometimes people attract and date people that have similar, you know behavior tones, or similar to the people that rear them. So you ever seen, like, in some families, like, what they say, a daughter is the father's first love. So
mhm.
she goes out and marry a guy who's just like her dad, and a boy will marry a woman who's just like his mama. It's so you have to think about that, and sometimes you might have to walk away from that.
You preach.
But people have to really ask those questions. In less than in 3 months of me and my husband dating, I knew we were moving to Florida. I knew we wanted to have two kids. I knew,
Like
uh,
it didn't take 6, 8, like 8 months
no,
for
because
you to.
I asked those questions, and he asked me those very questions. So we were very clear about what the next steps would look like. And I was very clear, like, listen, if we're going to be dating, I don't want to date past 2 years. At the 2 year marker for me, we should be getting engaged. Something should be happening. Because what happened is that people think that they have to learn everything about a person in order to commit to that person, get married, whatever. People grow. The more you grow, the more you live, the more you learn. And even within relationships, people evolve, people change patterns, people, you know, learn new things, and they do new things. And so that's why you have to stay engaged and communicate, because you will learn that. So that's why, but you can't accept the current version of the person you meet and then say, "Oh, this is how I met them, and this is it." There have to be more.
And also let's not use excuses like, oh, I've always been like this. Okay, and
And if you've always been like this, you're always going to stay like that, which means that you can't stay with me.
hello.
And that means that also tells you that this person is unwilling to change. This person might be a challenge to get them to do or try new things. And so all of these things come in, but if you communicate, don't be afraid to ask the questions you want to know. Don't be afraid to ask those questions. Don't wait for people to volunteer the answer. Oh, I don't want to scare them off on the first date, or da, 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 da. No. If you're going to ask them a question that you think might scare them off on the first
Mhm.
date, what happened if when you ask that same question, like oh, so you ask that question 3 months down the road after you're like in giving this person your all, and then you don't get the answer that you want. Do you leave now, or are you gonna just look past the red flags and be like, I'm so in love?
Yeah, no, pay attention to red flags, but I'm also glad in this dating phase and getting to know people, God has protected me even when I was too dumb to protect myself. And he has did things to protect my energy, protect myself from the un from going too far, because I went through that phase just to have somebody, just to be with somebody. Not I'm not because I'm not trying to get in a relationship for Facebook likes and stuff like that. No,
Right.
no,
And, sorry, not to cut you. Go ahead, finish your thought.
no, 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 no.
Yeah. No, I just looked up and I saw that we're running over by a few minutes. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity to share a few final thoughts.
Um, people.
Single and dating.
I mean, besides that,
Find him on
you
Facebook.
know, I, I don't think I'll be single for long. I'll say that.
Okay.
I don't think I'll be single for long. We'll see. We'll see. We still have you know uh applications. I'm still accepting applications. I have a book of applications.
If you haven't yet submitted your application, there is still time.
There is still, look. I got applications.
I can't with you right now.
Application. Application. So come on up. I'm just playing. But um, I I I I'm not too. If it happens, it happens.
Oh,
It
someone's asking you a question. Have you dated a trans person before, Mr. Johnson?
actually my first. Okay, not my first boyfriend, but my first serious situationship was with a transgender woman. So I guess you can say I'm pansexual because I've talked to trans men and I have talked to trans women, and I am open for it because I see people. Now, will I date a woman? Woman? No.
Well, we started the show on that, and we're ending the show on that.
Who asked that question?
Facebook user. Now you're gonna go check the comment.
Let me go check. Are you? If you like me, slide into my DM. Don't be scared. Hold on.
All right. So I just want to thank you guys for watching. As always, we want to make sure that you have access to communication and access to resources.
Oh, can I make an
So if you, oh, Donika,
Can I make an announcement?
okay, go ahead, make an announcement.
If you live in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and even West Palm Beach and Richardo, you and your whole family need to take up a whole row. Um, New Era Masonic Lodge, where I am the founder as well as the worshipful master, where we'll be celebrating 2 years of service to South Florida on the um, second Sunday of next month at Grace Temple CME Church in West Palm Beach. To commemorate our 2 year anniversary, not selling, we're having a drawing of a 2 night hotel stay in Orlando. It's a suite. Um, the drawings are $20 a ticket. And this is how we raise funds. Last year, we gave out toys to light up Sis Trunk, and we were able to do things with our senior citizens. We're able to do things in HIV and things of that nature. It takes money to run things, so I'm asking you all to if you would like to learn more how you can support New Era Lodge, please feel free to inbox me on Facebook at Eddie Enrico Johnson. And then get tested. Your free HIV test today. Call 561-208-69. No, 6595. Now govern yourselves accordingly.
As always, please, 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 we can't take care of ourselves unless we know our HIV status. Don't wait till you get into the hospital and then you start making plea deals.
Like me. But I wouldn't take nothing for my journey.
Exactly. So you know what it is? Go out and get an HIV test. We at Campbell Health Solutions in West Palm Beach offer free HIV testing, and you can stop by our office. Just give us a call. We'll get you scheduled. You can get you a free HIV test on site, or if you would like, you can also get a at-home test kit. So you can actually go ahead and do your you can test at home. So we can arrange all of that. Just give us a call, 561-208-6595, and we'll get you all situated and squared up. So thank you for watching. Please like
I
and
hope
share.
this won't be my last time.
It won't be your last time, for sure, for sure. So thank you very much for watching, and we look forward to you. Please like, share, and thank you, Eddie, for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
You.